ያጨኝ በጥቂት ቀናት ውስጥ ይሄን የተረገመ ሰፈር ለቀን እንሄዳለን። ከዛ ጥሩ ጭዳ በላሻለሁ። እሺ?
Hey everybody, this is your girl, this is Ellie Wade for Black Business Live TV, and I'm at the after party, the New Year's Eve celebration for Ethiopia. I don't know how you say Happy New Year in Ethiopia, but Happy New Year in Ethiopia. I am here with the director. What is your name and how has your time at TIFF been?
My name is Beza Hailu Lemma. I'm a filmmaker based in Addis, and my time here has been wonderful. Just watching a lot of movies and meeting a lot of people. So it's been great. Yeah.
Is this your first time in Toronto?
My second time. I was here 5 years ago, but I was part of the Filmmakers Lab, and so this is my first time with a film at Toronto.
Is this your first film, or is this something that you've been doing for a long time?
This is my first fiction project, mostly a documentary filmmaker, so this is my first fiction short.
First fiction?
Yes.
But it must be based off of some truth. Because the characters are very alive and well in this movie, so does that come from any personal experience? Or are you also the writer of the film?
Yes, I'm the writer and the director of the film, yeah. Go ahead. I mean, I just wanted to kind of show the reality of the situation in Ethiopia and just kind of play around with the themes of faith and death and just life in Ethiopia.
I watched the film, so everybody, you should go out there and definitely watch the film. I really enjoyed the film because I see this interplay between skepticism and faith. And I think about how the younger generation doesn't seem to be very inclined towards faith and tradition. Is this something that you feel is happening right now in Ethiopia within its younger culture? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like everywhere else, in Ethiopia also, it's, globalization is kind of reaching the country. So Ethiopia has been very religious for a very long time, and so this is a time where people are kind of questioning a lot of different things and seeing different things in a different way. So I would say people are questioning the faith and the beliefs that they're raised in, generally speaking, whether they come from a Muslim background or a Christian background or from anywhere. People are just starting to ask questions and seek answers and the truth for themselves. Yeah.
I really loved the opening shot where the three gentlemen were sitting under what seems like the tree of life. A lot of symbolism in the movie. The father, of course, in the middle, and the two sons on either side. One younger, one older. And it was interesting that there was the younger son that decided to take off and go on his own way to find what is left. And the older one felt that it seemed like he had that strong hold to tradition and responsibility. Who are you in the series? Who do you identify with?
Okay, I would say I identify more with the older brother as opposed to the younger brother because I was raised in an Orthodox household, and I've always felt that I identify very strongly with the Ethiopian culture because I'm Ethiopian, and so I understand the Tasamma, the main character's hesitation and responsibility, while also being skeptical about the things that are being told in the story. So I would say I identify more with Tasamma than the younger brother.
I was just really struck by the way that, is this something that happens a lot in Ethiopia where people utilize the faith to manipulate the masses?
I think it depends on the person who's doing it, right? As an institution, the Orthodox Church is a very well-respected entity, and it's very old, it's very dogmatic, but there's always individuals, right? Whether good or bad, there's always people like that everywhere. So I wouldn't say the religion itself is manipulative. I would say some individuals in the church or anywhere, in government, in society in general, people sometimes use faith as an instrument of oppression. And so with this story specifically, this priest is doing that. But I also have kind of a sympathy for the priest because he's also suffering and he's going through a lot of different things, and people look up to him and see they expect some sort of guidance from him. So it's a big responsibility, and sometimes you have to do certain things to be the bigger person in the story and provide people with help.
Absolutely. I felt really I see what you're saying about feeling bad sort of for the pastor, the priest, because he's in charge of leading the community. You're in a barren land and it's quite obviously barren, and then here is this opportunity to set forth, something that helps give hope. And what I think about is how the theme of death and the idea of Alazar in and of itself as something that is a helper, divine help. From the very beginning, I was like, oh, I know where this is going. I know where this is going. Did you, as you were writing it, did you have a clear vision of how you wanted the story to go? Or how did it unfold for you?
I knew I wanted to work on some of the themes explored in the film, but I didn't know where the story was going to go, to be honest. And also, I didn't really know where the ending was going to take me, and I had to make certain decisions while I was writing it, because the ending always determines what the film wants to say. So all the reality around me and the things that I've seen kind of dictated the writing as I was doing it. So I didn't know where it was going, but as I was writing it kind of started revealing itself. Yeah.
The biblical imagery is very clear, that the idea of sacrifice, but I also loved the rain at the end because the provision is always there. Are you a Christian?
I was a Christian, and I would consider myself a believer. I wouldn't give myself as like any specific religion, but I believe in God, I would say, yeah.
It was very clear in the movie that was the pull between yourself and the main character. But I have to ask a very serious question, which is, why did you have to kill the cow? We're talking about sacrifice.
That's... I wanted to show that there's a real cost to things, it's not an abstract thing. When people are suffering, like everything around them also suffers, and animals are always the first thing that suffers in a situation like this. And in drought or in famine, like you see animals all over the place, dead, and so I always felt like I always felt bad for animals as much as I do for human beings as well. So I needed, the story needed a sacrifice, like you said, and yeah. So
I feel like lots of people were being sacrificial in the story, except for the young man who decided to go find his own way, which is really how these young people seem to be now. So I like that you're still a traditionalist somewhat, or feel that responsibility. What led you to work with Tamara?
Me and Tamara met around like 7 or 8 years ago at this workshop in Addis Ababa, and she was always very nice to me. We kind of clicked as we started speaking and getting to know each other, and so I felt that she was really responsible. She very intelligent, very clever. So immediately I kind of like wanted to start working with her, because at the time I was also I wanted to work with somebody like as a producer, and so Tamara was the best possible person for me. Yes.
Now, in terms of film business, were you always more of a creative, or is it that you understood the business, and how has the transition of doing both of those things been as you put this film out?
To be honest, I'm more of a creative as opposed to like a producer or the business person behind these things. But I'm also learning the other side of things, and the business side of things, and so I'm also going to be a producer on my next project. So yeah, I'm going from the creative side to the.
What was your biggest learning in the producing side or in the business side that you had during this film?
A lot of different things, because I'm also an executive producer on the project, so I was there from beginning to end, So there was a lot of decisions that needed to be made on set and pre-production and post-production, and so I learned a lot from this experience, because we went over budget, our locations were messed up, it rained like for half of the duration of the shoot. So yeah, we had to kind of like improvise and come up with different solutions to on-set problems. So I was also producing as I was doing that. That's something that I learned on the way, like even on all of my other projects as well.
Do you feel that you set out to do exactly what you meant to do?
I wouldn't say 100%. Yeah.
It's missing.
Well, I mean, it's just that whenever you complete a project, whenever I see the film, I always feel like, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. It's always like, it could have been better. So. But I always go forward and in the next project, I'm gonna apply whatever I learned from the past to make the future better.
I heard you have another film, a feature film coming. I don't know what it's called, I don't know what it's about, but do you think that you'll be exploring some of the same themes, or is this a completely different divergence away from that?
No, actually it's a very similar film. Part of the reason why we made the short film was also so that it can serve as kind of like a proof of concept and also a way into the feature film. So it explores the same kind of themes, but it's a different story.
Are you ready for that writing process to expand the character and the storyline that you've created? Where will you go differently? Or can we know that? Can we know the inside of how you would expand that story? I'm just curious because I'm a writer too. So I'm just like, where are you going to take this?
Well, it's not the same story. It's a different story. So it just shares similar themes. It's about faith. It's about community. It's about death and then the afterlife, and so it's similar in its themes and its visual style and it's the way it's going to be executed. But the story is completely different.
So, is there anything that you would like to leave the viewers with in terms of you as a filmmaker, you as a producer, or you as just a creative going through this process? What do you want people to understand about God's help and divine helping?
Well, I mean, sometimes, like I said earlier, like Ethiopia is a very religious country, and it's really easy to doubt people's faith because most of the time it feels like it's not answered. But I also believe that people have faith because they've been proven right at least once before, right? And so when a community as a whole believes in something that's bigger than themselves, I always think there's something underneath that's than just the things that we see, right? So for me, Ethiopia is a land of miracles. It's a land of problems and a lot of different issues, but it's also a land of divine miracles and intervention. So, I believe miracles sometimes happen. That's why I made the film. Hello, everybody. My name is Beza Hailu Lemma. I'm a writer-director of Alazar, and you're watching Black Business Life TV.
Amazing. Thank you so much. It was nice to meet you. A fantastic film. Okay. Bye-bye.